Do you know that a company secretary may contribute to helping his or her board to evolve from an inactive board or a cosmetic board to a progressive board? Hi, my name is Jimmy Walaviechi and you're welcome to Corporate Governance Africa, where we seek to promote good governance through film. In this video, we explore how a company secretary may assist a board in growing from being an inactive or cosmetic board to a progressive board. Rita Kabatunzi, a seasoned governance professional, shares some insights into this very important subject. In another video, she discussed the different stages of a board's evolution. She said that a ceremonial board is one where the board members are passive and the board lets the chief executive officer to dominate the affairs of the company. The next stage she described is the liberated board, as one where the board has a greater understanding of its role but is overbearing in its oversight role over the management of the company. Finally is the progressive board, where the board exercises oversight appropriately. Here she discusses how a company secretary can guide their board or can help their board move from a cosmetic board or an inactive board to a board that is progressive. She says that a company secretary may achieve this aim through having a positive influence in at least 4 areas, namely the agenda, information flow from management to the board, board development, and board accountability. Listen to what she has to say.
So I think the role of the CS, I'd like to highlight that the role of the CS is critical role is as a bridge between the board and management. A big part of that, as we've talked about focusing on substantive issues, is the agenda, for example. The CS develops the agenda with the board chair. So the CS has to have the frame of mind to also understand what is critical and important for the board to make decisions on or to discuss, regardless of whether they're making a decision, but to discuss. So the CS can actually help to move the board by developing an agenda that is very forward-looking, an agenda that takes into account that yes, compliance is important, but what you want to walk away with is this board giving us their valued skills and expertise to drive certain agendas forward. So agenda, big one. Information cannot be overemphasized. There's a lot of debate about whether it's the CEO or the CS who should be in charge of information flow and things like that, because business unit heads usually report to the chief executive. However, what the CS does is the CS is that advisor for management that helps management to put together this information well. What I tend to do, for example, in my example is because I sit on almost all the management committees, the critical ones, is to just pick out the issues that I think for this period have been quite critical and need to be escalated to the board, and then have follow-on discussions with management to ask the question, how can we put this information together in a way that the board understands and that the board is going to be able to then give us value in terms of feedback and their independent judgment. So that's still the CS. The CS works with the chief executive, but the CS helps to improve the reporting to such a point that the information that goes to the board actually allows the board to work together. The CS is also in charge of induction and board development. So how do you as the company secretary think about the board's development for the directors? Do you tend to just get trainings because they say, oh, train your board on strategy, train your board on financial management, or do you actually think about what is tailor-made, knowing and understanding the shortfalls of your board, so structuring it to address those, coming from the board evaluation or just from general observations, and even thinking about the emerging trends and the emerging issues and the forward-looking. The CS organizes for that. At Stanbic, for example, we've taken an approach to use what we call reverse mentorship. So reverse mentorship is where the board actually learns from the people who do this work. So it allows you, one, to interact with staff and ask your questions. And by the way, it can be staff of even like a frontliner can do reverse mentorship for the board, say on customer channels and things like that, and help the board to understand that when you sit in your boardrooms making these decisions, this is where it starts from. These are the critical pieces. And then the board is able to then, because they all understand, work in a gelled manner and apply themselves in such a way that what they're adding to management is insights that did not exist before from the reporting that they have gotten. And the other, I would say, is make sure that there is commitment and accountability in terms of management, but also the board. So when you do a board evaluation, the action points should be far-reaching. What should the board do? What should management do? And are those things being done? Yeah. So you would say that the CS is really at the center of a board becoming progressive, because they manage a lot of the key facets. They manage the board dynamics, which we talked about as one stage. They certainly manage the information architecture as well, and they manage the focus on substantive issues. So that's how I think the CS could help the board to become progressive.